Hello everyone, and welcome to another video on the South African Union coins. Now in the previous video we had a look at the farthing, we had a look at the half penny, we had a look at the penny, so the three copper coins. We had a look at the tikkie and the sixpence, the first two smaller silvers. And tonight we're going to have a look at the shilling, which is a very, what's this? Oh, Mandela. It's a Mandela 5 rand coin. They pop up everywhere. Sorry about that. Okay, so the shilling, which is worth 12 pennies, measures 23.7 millimeters in diameter, ranges from 1.61 to 1.81 millimeters in thickness. And where the thicker coin was minted from 1937, so before 1937, 36 to 1923 to 1936, it was 1.61 millimeters. The coin itself consists of 80% silver prior to 1950, after which it was changed to 50% silver. Now the copper content, which makes up the balance of that, is meant to make the coin both stronger and also more cost effective. So that was the main reason behind that. Now the obverse design is pretty much the same as with all the other Union coins. Now I've received a special request to write more detail here, so which I'll gladly do. So if this is all old news for you, please jump ahead to the next chapter. So from 1923 until 1936, King George V is shown in integral detail. The obverse was designed by Bertram McConnell, and yeah, as I say, it features King George V with the text Georgius Rex Imperator, which is Latin for George V, King Emperor. Now, King George was notoriously, he hated self-portraits, or portraits, that was drawn from him or drawn of him, but he admired Bertram McConnell's work, so he probably approved of this design. And as an interesting side note, he also was quite an avid stamp collector. And I've always wondered, what did King George V, what did his stamp collection look like? But anyway, so after his death in 1936, very controversial, but euthanasia played a role there. His eldest son Edward abdicated before the end of the same year. So Albert, which was the middle child, ascended the throne as George VI. Now his portrait graced the obverse of the South African coins from 1937 until 1952. Now there are two varieties in the legend, both designed by Henry Paget. So the first of these reads Georgius Rex Imperator, or George VI King Emperor, until 1947. And in 1948 the Imperator was removed, so it only reads Georgius Sextus Rex, which means George VI King. It's the Latin translation of that. So this was in line with many of the British territories which started gaining their independence, and so that's why that was removed from the coin. Now George VI was described as a gentle child. He had a stammer. So if any one of you have seen that the King's Speech, that movie, that was King George VI that movie depicts. So a very good movie. If you haven't seen it before, it gives you some background about all of this. So he was also left-handed, and he was actually forced to write with his right hand, which was pretty much the norm in those days, which was actually quite sad. But despite all of this, he succeeded in restoring the popularity of the monarchy by leading through example. He died in 1952 from coronary thrombosis. He was a heavy smoker, and he was only 56 years old at the time. And he was succeeded, of course, by none other than Queen Elizabeth II. So Queen Elizabeth appears then on at least 33 different currencies, more than any other living monarch in history. So as head of the Commonwealth, her portrait also graced the Union coins from 1953 until 1960. Now the design itself, it's a simpler design, much simpler than that of her father and her grandfather. And unfortunately, many of the QE2 coins suffer from a weak strike, or even strikes with worn dies. But yeah, that's unfortunately. It's also not. It's yeah. There's not much you can really say in addition to that. So besides her corgis, which almost becomes synonymous with the Queen, she also owns an elephant. She owns 2 giant turtles. She owns a jaguar and a pair of sloths. So I don't really think she cares. All is good. So yes, and then of course let's talk about the reverse design. So the reverse was designed by none other than George Kruger Gray, which designed quite a few of the Union coins. And yeah, this shilling's reverse features a woman in drapes with her right arm resting on an anchor, as you can see over here, looking over a calm sea. To her left is, and of course to the right of the coin, is a 6-pointed star, and that which you can see over here. The entire design is reminiscent of the Cape of Good Hope, which was originally called the Cape of Storms. Now this depiction of the Lady of Hope is also seen in the old South African coat of arms, as you can see over here in the top left. The Lady of Hope itself is a famous symbol of the Cape of Good Hope, and a statue of her can also be seen in the outer court of the Castle of Good Hope in Cape Town. For the reverse, there's 4 main varieties that exist. So we have the double circle in 1923 and in 1924, as you can see. There exists a variety where there's no dots that's present around the sun, but I don't have mintages for that or how rare the one is over the other one. I just know that there's 2 varieties of that specific one. In 1926, the inner circle was removed, and in 1931, the Z, or the Z, depending on from where you are in the world, in the word Zuid was replaced with an S, as the Afrikaans language evolved, which was at that point only 6 years old. Afrikaans became an official language only in 1925, which was pretty much yesterday in terms of languages. In 1951, the denomination 1S, 1 shilling, replaced the word shilling, and the lettering was slightly enlarged if you look at the 2 varieties. Okay, some noteworthy and difficult to obtain mintages. So all the King George V's in high grades are notoriously difficult to obtain. Remember, this was 80% silver. Silver is a soft metal, so in mint state you're going to struggle, and they will easily fetch. They will fetch very high prices. So they're not as common. But of course, looking at specific years, the 1923 shilling, there's one example in the Hearn's manual where that mentions a MA66, which is a very high grade that sold on auction for 57,000 Rand, but this is some years ago. The 1931 is also notoriously difficult. There was only 6,603 minted, of which 62 was proofs. And even a worn coin, even like this one that I have over here, will easily fetch a few thousand rands. And a mint state coin, I haven't seen one in a long time. I think that will easily fetch over 100,000, if not more. The 1927 is also quite rare, with Hearns mentioning an auction where an MA64 sold for 144,000 Rand for that single coin. The 1939 proof set also deserves an honorary mention. There's only 30 of these proof sets made, and I've never seen one on auction. So if you can get a 1939 proof set at an auction and you can afford it, you should definitely go for that. Then there's some interesting mintages from 1944 until 1949. So between these 2 dates, inclusive, 1944 to 1949, very few shillings were minted, and these are actually key dates. They do pop up from time to time, and they often go for just a few thousand. But just be careful, as the proofs are easily to come by in these years. It's the circulation coins that are hard to come by, especially in mint state. So that's the scarce mintages. So what I've got over here for you now, I've only recently really started with my graded shilling coins, so I only have 4 coins for you to have a look at. The oldest one I have that's in mint state is this 1938 shilling. So here's the reverse. You can see the nice cartwheeling effect, which of course is an important aspect of a good mint state coin. So there's the reverse, the obverse with King George VI there at the back. See, this is still, because it's still 1938, you'll see it still has the imperator there in the fields, which refers to him as being the the emperor of the British Empire. This is a MS63, and it's also an ex-Bakewell collection. Now, what this means is that when you send in a coin to grade, you can, for example, specify the name of the collection, and then your name will basically, as the coin travels the world, always be associated with this specific coin. I'm actually quite honored to have an ex-Bakewell coin, because Bakewell is pretty much a legend when it comes to the Union coin collections. Then in 1940 shilling, this coin does not have a high grade, but it remains, I think, my favorite graded shilling, simply because it has very interesting and very beautiful toning. And as I said in a previous video, this toning is all about the environment. It depends on the moisture in the air, and how, if there was any chemicals involved in terms of, things that were on the coin, or all kinds of different aspects that could actually affect the the tone of the coin. This is an MS62, which is not that high grade, but it's not because of the toning that usually does not affect the grade of the coin. There's probably, on this coin specifically, if you look through it using a loop, you'll see that there's quite a few nicks. The rim of this coin is not particularly good either, which is not possible to see on the camera, but that of course affects the grade of the coin. Then I've got a 1941, which is also MS62, but of course there's no toning on this specific coin. So pretty much the same as the previous one, it's just the date that differs. I would like to show you this specific one. This is the 1951 shilling. Now look at that. It looks like this got from the mint yesterday, and this coin specifically is an absolute beauty. You can see over here the imperator has been removed, so now it only says George the 6th King. That's basically what that means in Latin. And this of course is a MS65. So a very, very high graded coin. Very, very few. I think the only reason why this got a lower grade than with the grade that it got was because of a few bag marks. If you look under the loop, there's a few bag marks. When the coins gets transported, they were often thrown into a bag, and this caused, of course, a little bit of marks on the coins, and this can sometimes affect the mark. But MS65 is nothing to sneeze about. I'm quite happy with that grade. Okay, everyone, that's the 1 shilling. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so before. I like to make quite a few more videos. I want to do the 2 shilling and the half crown next. Basically, also the larger silver coins. And once this is done, I'd like to cover the ZAR coins as well. I've got a few ZARs as well that I can show you. But if there's anything specific you'd like me to cover, how could you start a hobby like this maybe, or whatever topic you can think of, let me know in the comments, and I'll definitely see what I can do. Thanks for your interest, and thanks for watching up till this point. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you are lucky in your collecting. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.